Sheila is a grade 9 science teacher in Vancouver and wanted to do a unit lesson on environmental technology. One of the curriculum goals was for students to assess the impact of science and technology on individuals, society, and the environment. She knew other teachers in British Columbia had covered the same topic in their classes, so she thought of using the BC Learning Commons, the new provincial learning resources website, to find some good quality and BC-approved learning resources. She wouldn't get a chance until later in the day to check from her work computer, but she was curious to take a quick look, so she went to the BC Learning Commons site on her iPhone, logged in with her school ID, and did a quick search for clean technology. The first two results pages looked promising. There were videos, lesson plans, white papers, e-books and e-textbooks, student projects, teacher-created resources, wiki articles, and even online groups. Many of the resources were Creative Commons licensed and could be shared without cost, and in some cases could even be modified to suit local needs. There were also excellent resources from education publishers that had been licensed to use across BC or in specific districts. Since she was rushed for time now, she just clicked on the star icon next to some of the resources to bookmark them so she could check back later. The next day, Sheila mentioned to her students about her plan to have them do this project on clean energy. Most of the students were interested, especially when she told them their final deliverable would be a 5-minute video summarizing their research and conclusions. One student, Amber, asked, "Why don't we also look at this from a First Nations perspective?" She was a member of the Squamish Nation and had a cousin living on the Sunshine Coast that was an environmental manager for BC Hydro. Another student, Reza, said his father worked at Ballard Power and could probably arrange a tour for the class. John asked if his team could do their research from the library. Sheila was happy to see a number of her students already engaged in the topic. She spent her prep session logging back in to the BC Learning Commons and looking at the resources in more detail. She found the lesson plan from the grade 12 class in Prince George had some good content, but she knew she would have to revise to fit her younger class. She was pleased to see it was Creative Commons licensed, and she would be able to use the parts of it that she wanted. There were a lot of good video resources. The YouTube video had 4 reviews, all positive, 3 from teachers and 1 from a student. Even though the video was hosted on YouTube, she was able to watch it right from the BC Learning Commons site. She decided it was worth using, so she added to her lesson plan area. It was good students could watch the video directly from the BC Learning Commons site, so they wouldn't get distracted by all the ads and the other videos on YouTube. The Discovery Channel video also had comments, all positive except from one teacher who said the video didn't address Canadian or BC-specific examples and that the National Film Board one worked better in his class. There were 10 results pages in total, and she was pressed for time, so thought instead of going through them all, she would join the online Clean Technology group and ask the group members which ones they thought were best. She clicked on Request Membership and within 10 minutes received a message back from the group's moderator inviting her to the group. There were 40 educators from across BC that were members, and she discovered that one of the members was from her own school, someone she didn't even realize had an interest in the environment. She would be sure to drop by her class later in the day and chat with her. She added a message to the forum asking for help with finding the best learning resources and was impressed to hear back from 2 teachers within an hour with helpful suggestions. One teacher in Kelowna recommended she contact a friend and teacher living in Freiburg, Germany, a town that was internationally known for their environmental sustainability. Sheila sent the German teacher an email and later had a video call. She was excited to hear back that this teacher had her students working on a similar project, and they agreed it would be good if the classes could arrange a web conference to share perspectives. Sheila used to spend hours on search engines late into the night trying to find good resources, but this was a lot faster, was vetted by other teachers, and tied into BC learning outcomes. A week later, the students were deep into their project. Reza's team decided to go to Ballard Power and interview his dad. They discovered that Vancouver was becoming a global hub for fuel cell innovation. And earlier this year, Mercedes-Benz said it would build a fuel cell plant just outside the city. Meanwhile, Amber took a trip to the Sunshine Coast and met with her uncle to hear about how BC Hydro was supporting local clean technology projects. She visited a wind generator nearby and videotaped it. He suggested she also talk to one of the elders from her community to get a longer-term perspective on environmental stewardship. John's team gathered in the library. The teacher librarian there suggested they research World Book, Canadian Points of View, Global Issues, and CBC News in Review, all available on the BC Learning Commons site. She noticed one of the students had an iPad. Another one had an Android phone, so she reminded them that they could also access the BC Learning Commons from their mobile devices. John's team decided to use the BC Learning Commons blog feature to create a blog to accompany their video. They thought it would help them to track their research links. 2 weeks later, some of the students had questions about how to edit their videos. Luckily, Sheila thought ahead of time about support. The teams that didn't have a video recorder could borrow one from the library and get tips on how to use. Some students from higher grades that did a similar project last year had also volunteered to offer support via the online forum, especially on how to use the video editing tools on the BC Learning Commons site. She was glad the students weren't all dependent on her video editing skills, as computers weren't her strength. When the student teams finished their videos, they uploaded them to the BC Learning Commons video repository for their school and were able to share access with their classmates and also with their parents and the people from the community that helped them with the project. Sheila was amazed at the quality of the students' work. She recommended that both Amber's and Rez's teams submit their videos for inclusion on the district's website, viewable by all teachers and students in the district. The students were proud and excited to share their work, and after receiving permission from their parents, their videos were uploaded. Within a few weeks, the videos had received more than 400 views. A provincial learning resource evaluator was impressed by the quality and asked the students if their video could go to the Provincial Learning Resources site in the public area. The students confirmed their permission, and before long, the David Suzuki Foundation noticed the videos and contacted the students through their teacher to see if they would be okay with sharing the video as part of a documentary they were doing that would air on national television. Many other students and teachers left comments, and the teams were able to continue engaging, even after the course ended. Some teachers even included in parts of their lessons. The students were proud to see their school project being used in real life. Sheila recommended the students add this project to their e-portfolio. It was definitely something they could showcase and be proud of, and also view later when they were older. Sheila reflected on her experience with this project. She was glad the school districts across BC got together through the Educational Resource Acquisition Consortium, pooled their resources and expertise to create this new provincial solution where she could get the best of publisher learning resources and locally created resources. She could also join communities of interest, better connect with other educators in her own school and across British Columbia, and even globally. She could also better guide students to higher quality and more applicable learning resources. This new world of digital learning resources and social networks helping people connect and share recommendations did require some changes in habits, but it was an exciting change to make, and the BC Learning Commons made it simple. She knew this would be one class project the students would never forget, and the lessons learned would be with them for their lifetimes.